Greetings film fans and welcome to the inaugural Cinevational Cinematic Life Lesson video. I'm kicking things off with one of my favorite movies of all time. It's the 2013 Zack Snyder Man of Steel. So let's jump right in. Alright, so as we get into this, a couple of quick housekeeping announcements. Number one, I'll try and curb my potty mouth, but brace yourself for the occasional F-bomb. Anything's possible. Number two, things might get quite geeky in here, so if some of these things go over your head, that's okay. The life lessons apply just the same, so hang in there. I recall watching the movie with a friend of mine and during some scenes turning to him and saying, "This is fucking awesome." Yep, I'm a convert, what can I say? Now, when it comes to discussing life lessons from Man of Steel, first we have to discuss one of the most talked about dilemmas, questions, controversies of the movie, and that is... Yep, that's right. I'm talking about the issue of why is the movie so dark? Why are things so bleak? Why is Superman so glum? So, to get to the bottom of this, and also as it relates to some of the life lessons coming up, let's check out some of the clips from the movie that, in my opinion, highlight what I think the director was going for and what makes sense of this whole thing. So let's check it out.
I asked if you could tell me who first settled Kansas.
Are you all right, Clark? 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 Clark, come out of there.
Leave me alone.
Clark, I have called your mother. Clark! I'm here. Clark, honey. It's Mom. Will you open the door?
What's wrong with him anyway?
He's such a freak.
Why, baby?
His parents won't even let him play with other kids. I know, what a weirdo.
It's clear from the very beginning that this kid is intimately acquainted with feelings of being an oddity and a freak. He's been made to feel abandoned by his peers, and life outside the home environment for him is a battleground.
Hey, asswipe. What do you think? Did you see the game?
Leave him alone, Pete.
Oh, what, he was his girlfriend? I want to hear what he has to say. Come on, Dick Splash.
So as we move into his teenage years, we see that these feelings of being an outsider and being ridiculed continue. He's made to feel like an outcast years later, and there are no signs of it changing anytime soon.
Come on, Kent. Come on, fight back! Get up, Kent. So is that it? Is that all you got? Come on, Kent. Come on!
Did it hurt you?
You know they can't.
It's not what I meant. I meant, are you all right?
I wanted to hit that kid. I wanted to hit him so bad.
I know you did. I mean, part of me even wanted you to, but then what? Make you feel any better? You just have to decide what kind of man you want to grow up to be, Clark, because whoever that man is, good character or bad, he's going to change the world.
As the previous clip demonstrates, young Clark's battleground outside of the home continues. He's rejected, intimidated, and increasingly made to feel like a freak by his peers. What I also find interesting is that the director specifically shows us him reading Plato, the ancient philosopher. This tells me that young Clark is a thoughtful, sensitive young boy, which makes his job of fitting in amongst his peers all the more difficult.
No, changing the plans. I guess somebody found something strange on Ellesmere. Aircoms are making runs out there all week.
That rat hole, you gotta be kidding me.
I know, it's crazy, right? But the Americans are there too, lots of them.
Anything
They're
else?
calling it an anomalous object, whatever that means.
Back off, Leto. I'm serious.
Oh, come on, Chrissy.
Knock it off.
Sit down.
Let me go.
Hey, leave her alone, man.
Or what? Tough guy?
Or gonna have to ask you to leave.
I think I'll probably just leave when I'm good and ready.
Oh, there he is.
It's not worth it, sweetie.
Hey, asshole, don't forget your tip. Steve Rack.
So that last clip demonstrates that even as a young adult, Clark's confrontation with assholes continues. But what I also find interesting is looking at his reaction with the young lady at the beginning of the clip, and her reaction with him shows me that she feels comfortable with him. She's probably known him to be a gentleman and someone of integrity that can be trusted. And also when the guy is pushing him around or trying to push him around later on in the clip, and you can see Clark getting agitated, there's a look of genuine concern on the young lady's face as she tells him, "He's not worth it, honey," as if she knows something about this guy, that if he was to respond with force, it would be the end of that little weasel who thinks himself a man. So, if you were asked, what is Superman's greatest superpower? I guess you might say flight, and God knows there is one kick-ass first flight scene in Man of Steel, for those who have seen it. Some might say super strength, or one of the other range of his gifts. I'd like to suggest something which may be surprising, and to demonstrate it a little bit and set it up, let's just go back to a snippet of a clip that I showed previously.
Did it hurt you?
You know they can't.
It's not what I meant. I meant, are you all right?
I wanted to hit that kid.
Now, what that little snippet shows me is that apart from his invulnerability, his super strength, and all those wonderful things, when it comes to his psychological and emotional disposition, Clark is as fragile as the rest of us. Words wound him like the rest of us. And that goes a long way towards explaining why Man of Steel had to be as dark as it is, if it was going to be realistic to how an alien would feel living amongst us and being made to feel like an outsider for the most part by most people around him. It had to be that dark because it shows a realistic portrayal of how someone with the same fragile emotional, it shows us how someone with the same emotional fragility as the rest of us would feel and respond if he was constantly made to feel like an outsider by those around him. Super strength, speed, flight are no defenses when it comes to being able to be wounded by the words of others. So with that in mind, in my humble opinion, the greatest superpower that Superman possesses is hope. It's what the symbol on his chest represents, as the movie shows us. And it's a hope that manifests itself in various ways, including self-restraint. It's the self-restraint that gets him to hold back and not squash someone like a little bug when every ounce of him is tempted to do so. It's the kind of hope that makes him turn the other cheek, so to speak, when he's sorely tempted to exact vengeance on the asshole in front of him. So, in what is that hope rooted? Where does it come from? Let's take a look at some of the lessons we can learn from Man of Steel that hopefully we can take on board for ourselves. Now, the first of two things I'd like to focus on with this particular series of Man of Steel clips is, who is your coach? Who is the person or who are the people in your life that you can count on to be real with you no matter what? These are the people that will encourage you and inspire you when the world gets you down, but they are also the people who will smack you upside the head and give you the hard truth and the tough love when you need it, and especially when you don't want it. These are the people that you can count on to lay in traffic for you when need be, but at the same time, they will have no hesitation in giving you the tough stuff that you need to hear when you're full of bullshititis. And let's face it, we can all be guilty of that sometimes. So I'd encourage all of us to identify the people in our lives, whether they be parents, friends, loved ones, actual coaches at work, at school, that we can rely on and count on to be real with us, people who will edify us and make us better than we were had they not been in our lives. Now, the second question that this series of clips raises for me is, what is your choice? As Pa Ken said to his young son, you have to decide what kind of man you want to grow up to be. Because whoever that man is, good character or bad, he's going to change the world. Now, you live long enough and you quickly realize that we have precious little control over the circumstances or the interactions that come our way. All we have control over is our attitude and our reaction in the face of those circumstances and interactions. As the wisdom of the ages from sages goes, treat people the way you want to be treated yourself. Now, those are few words, but they are way easier said than done. Anyone can respond to violence with violence or hatred with hatred. As Dave Chappelle said, that's a biggity bitch. That's easy to do. But it takes a person of courage and integrity to rise up above negative circumstances and to keep their integrity intact while responding with decency, maturity, and restraint. So a massive part of what goes into who we are in the world and how we impact upon it has to do with our coaches and our choices. What sort of people do we surround ourselves with? Are they the kinds of folk who will lift us up when the world beats us down? But at the same time, they will give us the tough love we need when there are words to hear that we don't want to hear. And are we going to respond in tough circumstances by treating those around us the way we would desire to be treated ourselves? These words are easier said than done. They can be tough as hell. And in many ways, they represent Superman's greatest superpower, his hope in people, his hope that they can be better, and his belief that they are worth a second chance. This is what makes the Man of Steel really amazing. Despite all the rejection he faced, despite all the aggression, he believed that mankind was worth taking a chance on, that they could be better, and that they were worth hoping in. Now, if that isn't a superpower, I don't know what is. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this first video in what will probably be a series of movies on Man of Steel, because there's a lot to digest there. But I hope you enjoyed this first episode of Motivational, and I look forward to hanging out with you all again real soon. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate your company. Bye for now.